Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Monday, November 16th. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis responding to that video that went viral over the weekend of a massive beach party on Bimini. Dr. Minnis speaking with reporters this morning on the sidelines of the opening of the Southern Recreation Grounds says he's very concerned considering that any one of the persons who attended the event could have possibly been a super spreader.
I'm very concerned with parties generally, especially what had occurred in Bimini. When you look at the numbers in Bimini, there are 11 cases, I think yesterday or the day before. And there's always a possibility that one who was attending such an event could have been a spreader, a super spreader. And therefore my message to the Bahamian populace at this time, all those individuals who had attended such event, you must assume that they are potentially infected. And I would advise them to go into self-quarantine, and I would advise Bahamians, if you know of such individuals, avoid them for at least the next 14 days, and they should be monitored, because there is always a possibility with the numbers that we see both in Grand Bahama and in Bimini that there could possibly being a super spreader attending such events.
Dr. Minnis says it's necessary for Bahamians to take responsibility for themselves, with companies such as Pfizer and Moderna announcing success in vaccination trials. Dr. Minnis adds this.
The vaccine is coming out. So imagine if we can keep our numbers down and keep ourselves stable. It means that the vaccine would be most effective in us, because our numbers would continue to remain down as we become immunized, etc. But those who are being irresponsible and partaking in parties and other events, they are jeopardizing not only the future of the Bahamas, but they're jeopardizing the future jobs of their own neighbors, sisters, etc. at Atlantis and others. Because if we experience great problems, then they themselves will be compromised and will have a second look. So you must think not of yourself, but think of your country and think of your future, what you're doing.
Now, the Prime Minister notes that the country is doing well with a reduced number of COVID-19 cases in recent weeks. And with the borders being reopened, it's once again urging Bahamians not to travel unless it's absolutely necessary, noting that with the first reopening of the borders in July, infections were not related with visitors coming in, but with Bahamians going out.
And one of the reports we're getting back, a lot of Bahamians are visiting the neighbors to the north, and they're visiting flea markets and other stores, and they're not wearing any mask, because that is not a requirement there. But they should wear masks and still practice social distancing, etc., because they can assume that the numbers have gone up within the northern areas, and just how over 4,000 were infected, there's a possibility for even more to be infected because the numbers are higher, and therefore it's a greater chance of you being in contact with individuals.
As for whether there will be implementation of further restrictions, considering that took place on Bimini and the spike in cases on Grand Bahama, Dr. Minnis did not give a definitive response to any stricter measures. Those who attended, as well as the organizers of a beach party at Radio Beach in Allenstown, Bimini, over the weekend, have received citations after they ignored health protocols, but put in place to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19. Police Press Liaison Officer Assistant Superintendent Audley Peters, in his police reports, says that police on the island of Bimini have cited a number of persons who attended a large gathering on a beach in Bimini during the emergency orders. According to ASP Peters, police are aware of a video circulating on social media in regards to that beach party where a large crowd was seen and patrons identified who were not given permission to host a beach party, nor were any of them seen social distancing or wearing a face mask. Subsequently, persons who hosted the event and most of the patrons were served with citations in regards to the emergency order. The police report indicates that all others will be identified and also served with citations in regards to not social distancing and failing to wear a face mask. The Royal Bahamas Police Force is admonishing all all residents of Bimini that actions like this will not be tolerated and the laws in regards to the emergency order will be enforced. With a spike in COVID-19 cases on Grand Bahama in recent days, Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister on Grand Bahama, Senator Kwesi Thompson, is pleading with Grand Bahamians to not let their guards down. On Friday, during the Ministry of Health's press conference, Health Minister Renward Wells said the island had recorded some 38 new cases last Wednesday and said the spike in cases was linked to employee interactions in the workplace. More specifically, the industrial sector with an electrical team. Well, Senator Thompson this morning in the upper chamber says the COVID-19 task force is on the ground conducting COVID-19 contact tracing and has indicated that there is a cluster of cases which health officials are managing.
Madam President, I want to speak to Grand Bahamians in particular, just to remind that we must stay vigilant with respect to COVID-19. I know that we all have COVID fatigue. We all are tired of managing this situation, but we cannot stop the fight with respect to COVID-19. And a lot of the fight is in the power of our own hands.
Senator Thompson admonishing Grand Bahamians that the fight includes following the necessary protocols, as he says there is still, unfortunately, a number of persons who are not adhering to all of the protocols put in place.
We want to remind residents to continue to stay away from large gatherings if you can avoid. Wear your mask at all occasions when you are in public. Be vigilant when you are at work and your behaviors at work, because there are some times when persons get lax when they are at work and they're comfortable. So we want people to, even in small gatherings, to be careful when you are in small gatherings. We want people to be reminded about staying the 6 feet, the distance that is required. And I cannot emphasize enough that whenever you are in public, to wear your mask.
Now, during Health's virtual press conference, Minister Wells said the ministry has moved to halt any potential spread of the virus by removing all positive cases from the workplace and isolating them, instructing the surveillance unit to continue monitoring the situation and data analysis to assess any noticeable trends. Grand Bahama's COVID-19 Task Force Chairman, Dr. Frank Bartlett, says with cases being sporadic on the island, targeted restrictions as opposed to a full lockdown is being recommended. COVID-19 cases in the country up to 7,256 as health officials confirmed 93 cases over a 3-day period. 23 cases on Friday, 40 on Saturday, and 30 cases confirmed on Sunday. 41 of the 93 cases were confirmed on Grand Bahama, 26 on New Providence, 11 on Bimini, 7 on Eleuthera, 5 on Abaco, and 3 cases on Exuma. Now, 1,699 cases are active, 25 cases hospitalized, 3 of them in Doctors Hospital Intensive Care Unit. There have been 5,341 recoveries and 40,118 tests have been completed since March. As for the death toll, that has increased to 163 after health officials confirmed that 7 COVID-19 related deaths occurred on Grand Bahama between October 21st and November 9th. 6 of those deaths were previously under investigation and have now been classified as COVID-19 deaths. They include 5 males ranging between the ages of 42 and 83 and 1 female age 33. Deaths under investigation has now decreased to 21. The 7th death on Grand Bahama is that of a 42-year-old female who died on November 1st. Meantime, health officials also confirmed in its Saturday update the death of a 82-year-old female of New Providence who died on October 28th. There are 32 non-COVID related deaths. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.